Go.
Hi, welcome to the Sudden Death Checklist Podcast number 1. I'm Jason Holman. I'm here today with Jack Veale. Jack has over 30 years advising closely held family-owned businesses with ownership and management succession issues. Thank you for being with us today, Jack.
Thanks, Jason. Appreciate the introduction. And hi, everyone. Thanks for attending our program. 20 years ago, a wife of a business owner who I was consulting with approached me and asked, what would happen if my husband died tonight? And I sat there and didn't have an answer for her. And so we sat down and put together a plan and worked with their advisors, trained the children, and it worked out to be a great program. Over the years, the thing grew as I got more involved with other parts of the estate planning process, and ended up that I put this together in a workbook that you're now looking at or looking to buy. And over the years, this nice book has been training hundreds of people, hundreds of families, and the idea is to train the executors and trustees long before they die, and it ends up that it saves them pain, avoiding pain and suffering, and a lot of money spent. Aretha Franklin and Prince are famous people who died without a will and gave all the money to the probate. The sudden death checklist process, the purpose behind the series of podcasts is to explain the elements of the funeral process and the workbook's 3 stages. The most important component is training family members now before the funeral takes place. Once your family is trained, they are ready to use the checklist during the funeral. When lots of tough decisions are made, this checklist is the way to go. Once the funeral process ends, you now have an executor or trustee who now has a checklist that they can go through probate and trust documents and make sure that their reports and filings are properly done. The book is broken out into 10 chapters. The first 2 relate to how do you train your children, who are the advisors they're going to be working with, and then where's the checklist that they have to grab upon your death. Chapters 3 and 4 have to do with you and your spouse's intentions about what are you going to do, who's going to have the jewelry, who's going to have what's going to happen to your body, are you going to donate it? Are you going to cremate it? Do you need did you buy a funeral home program? All these things need to be checked out. 5 through 7 relate to the private details of each checklist item. So, for example, you're going to find in 5 through 7 life insurance policies, logins and passwords, and stocks and bonds, and other wealth and private information. Therefore, in most cases, you can photocopy the pages in 1 and 2 when they are completed, and that's all you need to have available in a file folder that anybody can look at any time. Chapter 8 covers veteran information, particularly for them. They have a lot of filings they do if they want to gain any benefits upon the veteran's death. And 9 and 10 are placeholders for documents and other things that relate to the other 8 chapters. The 3 roles of the state and business are state business owner, the trustee, and the executor. For the business owners who manage the company, it includes a business checklist in Chapter 7. For trustees who may or may not own a company in their trust, they have the same as business owners with more trustee information. For executors of an estate, they don't need the business information in Chapter 7. Our workbooks are not designed to replace a will. I strongly suggest everyone get a will and add a living will to it. That said, we're going to be on to podcast 2, the pre-funeral stage and checklist.
Thank you, Jack. That overview was helpful. When we do get to that podcast number 2 that Jack was talking about, we're going to talk about who are the key advisors that you should contact first when someone passes away. What is the first responders quick checklist? What is the veterans checklist? What needs to be different for the veterans? what are the important documents that you need to have all gathered together and ready in one place for just in case you pass away. So in subsequent podcasts, we're going to talk about the funeral stage checklist, the post-funeral checklist, the business checklist, and yes, that veterans checklist. Thank you. That's all for now. Take care.